In the epicenter of our thriving city, the hospital stands as a lighthouse of optimism for countless souls. Its towering edifice boldly captures the essence of human resilience. A powerful symphony of life, pain, hope, and triumph plays out within its sterile white walls. From one corner of the ward, a young boy bravely combats the discomfort from his arm, swathed in stark white bandages. He clutches a superhero action figure tightly with his unscathed hand and dreams of his own heroic endeavors and adventures yet to come. His spirit, as untamed and wild as his action figure, remains undeterred by the plaster imprisoning his limb. Across the room, an elderly woman, her face a canvas of wisdom etched with lines of a life well lived and challenges overcome, clings to hope. Her frail lips move rhythmically, whispering a silent symphony of prayers. She's locked in a fierce battle with an unseen enemy within, yet her faith stands unyielding and unbroken. Another man, his face a mask of fortitude in unrelenting pain. Struggling with a failing kidney, he waits patiently for a donor. His hands are folded in prayer, seeking divine intervention. Every day now he finds himself wishing for a fresh lease on life. A young mother, cradling her newborn, prays fervently for her child's health. Born prematurely, the tiny infant fights its own battle in the neonatal intensive care unit, unaware of the warmth of its mother's touch. From the tireless staff to the hopeful patients, everybody carries their own heavy crosses. Yet in this sanctum of healing and hope, faith binds them together. Regardless of whether their belief lies in divine intervention, the groundbreaking power of modern science, or in the simple power of empathetic kindness, faith serves as their anchoring lifeline amidst this chaotic tempest of uncertainty. In this haven of hope, where the desperate seek solace and the faithful draw strength, an unpredicted arrival is on the horizon. An arrival that will unsettle the tranquil equilibrium and cause ripples through the lives of everybody present. The impact of this arrival and the aftermath, dear viewers, forms the crux of our next unfolding scene. In the depths of the hospital's resounding heartbeat, we are transported into the extraordinary narrative of a man who has become a global household name for miraculous healings and prophetic revelations. Mark N. Avoyd, a towering figure of immense reverence, he is hailed by millions around the world, transcending borders and cultures. His tale is a tapestry of divine encounters and awe-inspiring transformations. As a child, the sterile white walls of hospitals were more than familiar to Mark. A frail and sickly child, he waged a tireless war against an unyielding illness that left even the medical virtuosos puzzled. In his darkest hours, Mark received a visit from a figure of radiant light, a figure he recognized as Jesus Christ himself. This divine meeting, as per Mark's account, resulted in a miraculous healing that left medical professionals awestruck. Fueled by this transformative event, Mark devoted his life to serving others by healing the ailing through supernatural means which were imparted to him as a child, when he was himself healed supernaturally. His television show, watched by millions worldwide, regularly features testimonies of his healing miracles. Speaking of curing terminally ill cancer patients in France, restoring sight to the blind in Africa, and even correctly foretelling significant world events. The annual revenue from his show is estimated in tens of millions, and his followers eagerly travel from the farthest corners of the globe, driven by the hope of experiencing a miracle of their own, a testament to his worldwide popularity. Detractors and skeptics may question the validity of his claims, but the undeniable fact remains that Mark's influence on countless lives is profound. His teachings offer comfort to those in distress, fortitude to the weak, and faith to the disenchanted. Suddenly, word begins to spread. Mark N. Avoyd is making an appearance at that very hospital, and a wave of hope has begun to sweep over the patients, their sense of fortune palpable. They believe that Mark N. Avoyd has arrived to cure their ailments, and the sense of anticipation is nothing short of electrifying. A sleek, shiny luxury car pulls up to the hospital. The camera pans across its gleaming surface, capturing the reflection of the hospital's imposing facade. The door swings open, and out steps Mark N. Avoyd, clad in a sharp suit, his charismatic presence radiating an aura of power and reverence. His arrival is as grand as the tales of his miraculous healings, and he is escorted by an entourage of well-dressed individuals, their eyes scanning the surroundings with an air of importance. The camera cuts to a nurse on her break, her eyes widening in astonishment as she witnesses the spectacle. She drops her half-eaten sandwich, rushing inside to share the news. The hospital, once a place of quiet routine, is suddenly abuzz with excitement. The staff exchange whispers, their eyes gleaming with anticipation and speculation. The patients, their faces lined with fatigue and anxiety, seem to light up with a spark of hope. The air is filled with whispers of the miracles they might witness, of the lives that might be altered forever. The camera then cuts to a close-up of Mark N. Avoyd, his confident smile revealing an air of self-assurance, as if he is aware of the profound impact of his presence. As the news of Mark's arrival spreads, the hospital is filled with a sense of anticipation and wonder. As the whispers of Mark N. Avoyd's grand entrance continue to ripple through the hospital, an undercurrent of speculation begins to take hold. The camera captures snippets of hushed conversations, the staff sharing their own theories about Avoyd's sudden visit. The camera then shifts to a nurse named Penelope, her face a mask of conflict as she grapples with disparity between the revered figure and the recent findings in her hands. The camera cuts to a close-up of her eyes, reflecting a mix of disappointment and disbelief. Meanwhile, the patients, caught in the infectious waves of excitement, start sharing their own tales of Mark N. Avoyd. The camera pans across the hospital, capturing their animated faces as they talk about the miracles they've heard of. Their expressions a mix of hope and skepticism. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation, but the seeds of doubt have been sown. The scene concludes with Penelope walking down a long hospital hallway, her face grim. As she passes by, the camera focuses on her, the echo of her footsteps ringing out, symbolizing the impending disruption to the narrative built around Mark N. Avoyd. The ensuing sequence is rife with suspense and expectation. Penelope, a nurse who works closely with the top doctors at the hospital, was notified beforehand that Avoyd would be coming there soon. She knew this would be a medical visit, not a healing visit as so many had assumed. She dutifully immersed herself in his medical records to be aware of anything that he may need, so his time there went smoothly. Penelope's admiration for Mark had been slightly challenged by his carefree demeanor and tales of his opulent lifestyle. She chided herself for possibly just being jealous of his wild success. As she delved deeper into his files, she stumbled upon a shocking truth. The frail, sick child whose unexpected recovery had inspired many had never been ill. His health records depicted a healthy child with only minor and occasional ear infections. The despair of being deathly sick, an experience Mark claimed to be all too familiar with, had been a lie. Penelope is left breathless by the revelation. The man she had looked up to and seen as blessed was nothing more than a skilled raconteur. His celebrated story of a miraculous recovery was a mere figment of his imagination. The bitter truth hits hard. As she comes to terms with reality, Mark N. Avoyd's aura begins to fade. The once revered symbol of faith is now exposed in the stark light of truth. Penelope looks with pity upon those patients at the hospital who believe Avoyd has made an altruistic trip there to work miracles on their behalf. She knows she must keep silent about Mark's exaggerated tale due to privacy regulations over medical records. She hopes there is a way he will someday be exposed publicly, so that he can no longer attain riches from the suffering of other people. As the hospital continues to buzz with the news of Avoyd's arrival, a distinct laughter echoes from room 715. The laughter, rich and hearty, belongs to none other than Mark himself. He's on the phone, speaking with a friend about the luxurious life he leads outside of the public eye. Best doctors, top-notch treatments, and of course the money to afford it all. Mark chuckles, his voice carrying through the slightly ajar door. He speaks of cruises, mansions, and the luxury that his wealth affords him, a stark contrast to the modest life one might think more appropriate for a man of God. The patients and staff, initially awed by his presence, overhear his conversation. Their faces turn from admiration to disappointment, then to disgust. The man they revered, who they believed sacrificed his life for the greater good, now seemed tainted by the very materialism he often preached against. The stark contrast between Avoyd's public image and his private conversations is highlighted, revealing a darker side to the revered faith healer. The man who claimed to have been touched by the divine, who healed the sick and provided comfort to the distressed, was now seen indulging in every comfort at the expense of his many donors. As the laughter from room 715 subsides, the hospital's corridors are filled with a heavy silence. The echoes of Avoyd's laughter serve as a stark reminder of the disillusionment, a bitter pill swallowed by those who had placed their faith in his incredible stories. The patients who had gathered together nearby Avoyd's room slowly begin making their way back to their own rooms. He is not here for them, and now they all know that.